go. We got section 1.5, multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Target, again, pretty simple. I can multiply and divide rational numbers. Again, rational numbers, numbers that can be written as a fraction, or we kind of think of it as any ending or repeating decimal that can go on forever. Remember the rules for multiplication and division. They save a lot of time when you're trying to figure it out. If we have the same sign, our answer is going to be positive. If we have different signs, our answer will be negative. Pretty simple rules there. And again, we're going to go with that rule of thumb from last section. If we start with a decimal, end with a decimal. If we start with a fraction, end with a fraction. And mixed numbers, we'll get talking about that here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with decimals. And I'm going to tell you the biggest key here is it's pretty simple today. Just use a calculator. Okay. We could spend our time talking about vertical layout or long division, but those are really things that can have kind of been taken over by the calculator world, because in all reality, since calculators are decimal based, we need to use them for something. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. 2.84 or 2.48 times 3.54. You can't even read that. So when I plug in that first problem and I just hit enter, it gives me an answer right away. Okay, and you might have a hard time seeing where the decimal is. That's 13.2432. For today, we're going to keep it real simple, and we're going to round to 3 decimal places. Okay, so we get that third decimal place, 0.243. We're going to round to that spot right there. Okay, the biggest thing is that's just going to keep our answers down a little bit, and we don't have to write some big string of decimals. So again, pretty simple, 13.243. Since that 2 is less than 5 at the end, I go ahead and round down. We write multiplication in multiple different ways. We use parentheses sometimes. If we're just dealing with variables, which we'll talk about later, we can just write those side by side. Or we can use that little dot in the middle. The days of the x, meaning multiplication, if they haven't been gone for you already, they're gone now. Okay. Since we're in algebra now, we really use x as a variable a lot. So probably too much, because any letter can be a variable. But we don't use x to mean multiplication anymore. So just to continue on these problems, a lot of times if I see a negative in there, I may not even put it in there because I know my rules. If the signs are the same, if they're both pluses or both minuses, my answer will be a minus. If one's a plus and one's a minus or negative, then my answer is going to be negative. But I can write it in there. I can even put the fancy parentheses in there too. It's not a big deal. And so what I get here is I get 18.3936. Since that fourth digit past the decimal point is a 6, we're going to round the one before it up. We're going to round that to a 4. So I'm going to get negative 18.394. That'll be my answer there. Okay, this one I'm dividing. I can do division the same way. Again, just use that calculator. Make it do all the heavy lifting. I can use the parentheses. I know right now, since they're both negatives, that my answer is going to be positive, but I can still punch it all in there. And make sure you close off your parentheses. That'll be real important later. So negative 1.34. Close off those parentheses, hit enter. And again, like I said, my answer is going to be positive. It is. But see this big old long string of numbers? I don't want to write all those. That's why we're going to look to the fourth decimal place. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 1. So 1 tells me to round the digit before it down. So I get 2.301. or 310. Okay. Same thing with the next problem. No negatives here. They're both positive. I know my answer is going to be positive. Divided by 8.3158. I get 1.848489 or 09. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tells me to round the digit before it down, so I get 1.848. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Try the next 4 problems. Should be pretty easy. Grab a calculator and punch them out. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you got those problems done, and we can just keep rolling here. So 11.48, and I get 6.3022. That last 2 tells me to keep the digit before it the same, so we get 6.302. Back to multiplication. I'm going to show you what it saves when you don't have to put the negative sign in there. Because I know my answer is going to be negative, I can write that right now. But all I have to do is 0.358 times 0.1574. Okay. The calculator didn't tell me negative because I never told it that there was a negative. But I have 0.0567, or sorry, 63. That's a 3. That 3 tells me to keep the digit before it the same. So negative 0.056. So I'm just punching these numbers into the calculator. Again, make it do all the heavy lifting. And this one I get 29.8571. So the 1 tells me to round down. 29.857. Okay, last one here. 84.384 divided by, there's a negative there, I'm not going to punch it in. That's an extra button on a calculator that I don't want to hit. And I get 15.7491, and I know it's going to be negative. So 15.749. The 1 tells me to keep that digit before it the same. Okay. So let's look down below. We're going to be working on turning mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, the conversation between mixed numbers and improper fractions really looks at a difference between, are we talking about math or are we talking about real world? In the real world, I would really rather deal with mixed numbers because it tells me something. You know, I could look at a number like 9/4. Okay. Well, how many times does 4 go into 9? It goes into it twice with 1 left over. So 2 1/4 is the equivalent there. So if I was talking in the real world, 9/4, I ate 9/4 cheeseburgers today. That's a lot of cheeseburgers, it sounds like, but I don't really know what it is. It's a lot easier to tell somebody I ate 2 1/4 cheeseburgers today, and you know, you can be proud of that or hate yourself. Either way, it's up to you. So math really likes the improper fractions. Real world likes the mixed numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to, when we know how to go this way, I want to know how to go backwards. It's a lot easier to deal with multiplying and dividing fractions if I know what the improper fraction is. Okay, I'm going to look at a very general case. Let's say we had A and B over C, so like 2 1/4. Okay, what I want to do is I want to multiply that way, So I want to multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. So what you're actually going to end up with is something that kind of looks weird if you look at it this way. CA plus B, and then the denominator stays the same. Okay, we don't change that. Notice over here the fourth didn't change, but let's look at it. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So it all works out. You don't have to write it this way. That'd be ridiculous. Just do it. Just kind of go in that clockwise direction. Let's try it here. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So we have 11 halves. When I deal with negatives, I'm just going to leave the negative out in front. My actual answer is going to be negative here, but I don't want to think about multiplying a negative number. I just look at 7 times 7. Well, that's 49. Plus 4 is 53. So I have negative 53 sevenths. Again, leave the negative out in front. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So I have 11 thirds. Okay. And last one, but not least, 18, wow, 8 times 14 is 112, plus 7 is 119. So 119 over 8 would be what that one is. Those are a lot easier to work with in math, and we'll kind of really look at it here down below when we start adding or multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. We're going to start off with multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Okay. We're going to kind of get a little step-by-step process here. We love to follow steps. Step 1 is turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. So go from mixed to improper, works a lot better. And step 2, multiply numerators. That's the number on top. So multiply numerators, and step 3, multiply denominators. And then kind of a step 4 that we should always do when we're dealing with fractions is simplify. Or, we've called it before, reduce. Reduce your fractions. It makes it a lot easier to look at. And I don't want to know something like, 16 tenths. I'd rather know, I would rather know 8 fifths. Okay, that just sounds better. It's easier to work with. Down here, all right, let's look at it. We're going to multiply straight across. They're already fractions, so I don't have to worry about changing into an improper fraction. But I'm going to multiply top by top. 5 times 5 is 25. Bottom times bottom. 6 times 6 is 36. That's my answer. Oh, you can't even see that. I went through all that and you can't even see it. But oh well. So 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. You're done. That's amazing. Here we have a negative out in front. Only one of them. So my answer is going to be negative. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 8 is 16. Negative 5/16. Who knew? It's awesome. So next one I'm going to do, this one is a mixed number. I'm going to turn it into an improper fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. So I have 9 fifths. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is, 7. And I keep the denominators the same. Multiply top by top. 9 times 7 is 63. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, I started with a fraction and with a fraction. If you punch that into a calculator, it's going to tell you a decimal, and we don't want that. So here we have mixed numbers. Kind of. I have one mixed number and one just integer. That's just negative 3. There's not even a fraction on it. Okay, but we can work with this one. It's going to be a negative. 2 times 15 is 30 times 1 is 31. Halves. 31 over 2. The beauty with whole numbers or integers that we have, I'm going to put my parentheses around here. So it's negative 3. Well, any number that we have, any integer that we have can be written as a fraction, just put a 1 under it. 3 divided by 1, or negative 3 divided by 1, is still negative 3, so we're good to go there. So I just put a 1 under any whole number, any integer that I have, and then I work it out. Negative 31 times negative 3 would be 93. 2 times 1 is 2. My problem is done. Okay? Yeah, now I better tell somebody where my answers are. Okay? Looks a lot better. So, that's that. Let's see what we got on the next page. Haha, time for you to try it. Go and pause the video. Try these 4 problems up top. Pause it and go. All right, welcome back. We have 4 problems here that we hopefully you guys got. Pretty simple on the first one. There's no improper or mixed numbers there, so we don't have to worry about that. Multiply top by top. I have 2 negatives that my answer is going to be positive. 3 times 7 is 21. 11 times 11, if you have to, use a calculator, but it's 121. I might try to look at reducing that. I don't really, there's nothing that I can do. Okay, not too worried about that. Next one, same type of thing. I don't have mixed numbers here, so I'm just going to multiply straight across. I have a negative. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, not too bad, huh? All right, let's look at the next one. I have mixed numbers. Uh-oh. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9/4 times, we have a negative. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 5 is 11. So I have 11 over 6 there. Multiply the top by the top. That's going to be a negative 99 over 24. Again, look at reducing. Both of these, you might not realize it at first, but if you really looked at it for a while, they're both multiples of 3. So I can divide the top by 3. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Divide both those by 3, and we should be able to simplify this down a little ways, because that's a kind of a big fraction. I don't want to think that hard. I'm still going to get a negative, but it'll be 33 over 24 divided by 3 is 8. And that'll be my final answer there. Okay, the next one, I have a whole or mixed number here and then a whole number here. So 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. 7/4 times, remember when we have a whole number, just put it over 1. Okay. Some of you may know a little trick. I already know from this problem that it's going to be able to be reduced. I'm going to do it 2 different ways. Okay. I'm going to do it the way that we know. Multiply top by top. 7 times 4 is 28. And 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, those are both multiples of 4. So 28 divided by 4 is 7. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Oops, sorry, 1. So 7 over 1, that's just 7. I'm going to do that problem again and show you a neat little trick. 7 over 4 times 4 over 1. Okay, 4 shows up on both of these here. Okay, so I can divide by 4 on the top and bottom right now by just getting rid of those, and I'd make the step straight to when they get rid of each other, they get replaced by 1s. So 7 times 1 is 7, 1 times 1 is 1. If you think it's quicker to do it that way, which it probably is, okay, you can do it that way, but you see I get the same answer. I could have done the same thing on the problem before because 6 and 9, well, they're both multiples of 3. I could have divided the 3 out right there. Okay. If you, we'll get some practice on that with our back to basic skills and things like that. But just go ahead and keep that in the back of your mind. It can make life a lot easier. All right. We are going to divide mixed numbers and fractions. What we want to do here, pretty simple, is flip the second fraction and multiply. Let you see that there. Flip the second fraction and multiply. Okay, we're going to use those skills that we used in multiplication, and we're just going to apply those to division. So I still need to deal with those pesky mixed numbers. They kind of look ugly, but they're okay. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 is 11. So I'm dividing by 11 over 6. So I have 1/4. Now I want to flip that second fraction, and I'm going to multiply. I change the division to multiplication on this problem. All right, so I'm going to flip it, meaning I just want to put 6 over 11 now. All right, 6 times 1 is 6. 4 times 11 is 44. Oh, I can reduce it. They're both even. Okay, could have reduced it back here, but it's a little late for that now. Just divide by 2. 3, divide by 2, 22. Okay, let's keep going on these. We're on a roll. And we're almost done. That's awesome. Okay, I have 3/4. This is actually -4 over 1. And to divide, I want to flip that. Doesn't matter where the negative goes. I usually put it on top. Now it's a -1 over 4. 3 times -1 is -3. 4 times 4 is 16. Done and done. Okay, moving on. Two mixed numbers. We have a negative here. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9, so I have 9/5. Divided by 2 times 3, it's a negative, hold on. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 7/2. Flip the second one and multiply. -9 over 5 times -2 over 7. So I flipped it. -9 times -2 is 18. And 5 times 7 is 35. No reducing going on there. Whoa, this is a weird problem. Okay, look at it. It's like a quadruple fraction. Really all it means is 1/3 divided by 3/7. I can rewrite that into a way that is a little bit easier to see. Now it's just like those other problems. Okay, good. 1/3 times, flip that one, 7 over 3. And we get 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 3 is 9. 7/9. That problem's done. Pause the video, do the next 4 problems, and we'll wrap this up. Okay, welcome back. Here we go. Hopefully you got a chance to do these. So we have 3/4, and I'm going to keep it division. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 5/4 equals 3/4 times 4/5. Really like it when I have the same thing on the top and bottom, because those turn into ones. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. 3/5. Remember, that's a whole number, or that's an integer, but we can just put it over 1. So we have 2/5. Turn it to multiplication. Flip that thing. We have a negative still, and we get -2 over 35. Okay, double mixed numbers, and they're both negative. My answer is going to be positive, but let's work our way through here. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13/5. Divided by 3 times 6 is 18, plus 5 is 18 plus 5 is 23. Still a negative, 23, and 6 on the bottom. Now we want to flip that second one and multiply. So -13/5 times 6 over -6 over 23. And now we're reducing going on there. It's actually going to be a pretty ugly number. It's -78, or sorry, +78 over 115. Okay, it doesn't reduce because there was no reducing here. If there's no reducing here, there won't be any down there. It's kind of the neat thing about that. Here we have 2/3 divided by, don't get scared by that, 5/3. Flip the second one, multiply 2/3 times 3/5. I have a 3 on the top and bottom. Oh, you can't see any of that. Sorry. So I just split that up into a division problem, and then I have a 3 on the top and bottom, and so I cancel those out. 2 times 1 and 5 times 1, 2/5. All right, again, summarize your notes, get the practice problems done, application problem done, check all that. Good luck on the Mastery Challenge.
1, 2, fractions here before you. To multiply now, I've got some really good news for you. So listen here now, multiply the two numerators, just like that now, and multiply the two denominators. Reduce if needed. It's so easy. 1, 2, 3. Multiply across on top and bottom. See, and if you got fractions, you gotta divide. Invert the second fraction and multiply. Invert the second fraction and multiply.